Everybody, welcome back to Vegas Tips and Tricks for a Saturday, February 15th, 2020. And we've got a big show for you today. This could be the longest non-live streaming episode of the show, but I know you're going to want to stay tuned because we introduce a new segment today. And we've got some exciting, well, maybe not exciting, but some interesting news. Before we get to that, as always, just a few housekeeping notes. Okay, we had 1,200 subscribers this week, so I just wanted to thank those of you who have subbed. This channel has been the little turtle that could, the little engine that could, just plugging along, adding 1 or 2 people a day. Well, we've actually picked up the pace a little bit, probably adding 2 or 3 people a day. So it doesn't sound like a lot, but it starts to add up over time. And if you're not subscribed, please consider hitting that subscribe button. It helps out the channel a lot. It's kind of a vote for continuing to do what we do here on this show. As I always say, this is not a Vegas channel for everybody. It's not usually a lot of flash, a lot of fancy editing techniques. Those channels are out there. I've talked to you about them, and they're a lot of fun. We try to focus in more on information, providing you with a better Vegas experience, and it's nice to know that so many people do appreciate what we're doing, so that's great. Coming up the next 2 Wednesdays, we've got a couple more videos from Las Vegas that we're going to be sharing with you, and I believe the Wednesday after that evening, we are going to go live with a live stream. At that time, I'm going to talk about my next trip to Las Vegas. I hope you'll join us at that time. You can talk about your Vegas trips, past or future. And also, if you've got a Vegas vlog of your own, or you're thinking about vlogging, or you want to share a new vlogger that you have found on YouTube, I hope that you'll join us at that time. I think we're going to be celebrating another milestone in the Vegas Tips and Tricks universe at that point as well. So that'll be coming up. I guess that would be March 4th. I believe that's correct, yeah. So set that date on your calendar. It's just 2.5 weeks off when we will be doing our next live stream. We're going to see, we did about a little over an hour the last time. If we can get people into the room, we will probably go longer than that. So I'm not going to try to do a show. We're just going to freeform it and have a good time. So speaking of free-forming it and having a good time, it is time for me to introduce our very first guest segment on the show, and this is going to be a recurring segment. We've already got a couple of the episodes in the can and several more on the way. A sideline, if you want to have your own guest spot on the show, it's a great way to promote your channel, particularly as you're just starting out. Or if you just want to contribute something as a one-time shot, check out the email address below you on the crawl, jrswift@vegastipstricks.com, and maybe you can have your own segment on the show. We talked about him a little bit last week, but PJ, Paul, from PJ Slots and Entertainment, is contributing to the program something I think that's kind of fun. It's not entirely Vegas-y, but what do you most associate with Vegas outside of gambling? It's probably a fine cocktail. With apologies to Ben Heath and his cocktail of the day, we have appropriated that, calling it the cocktail of the week. Just want to say a few more things about PJ. PJ Slots and Entertainment is his YouTube channel. Lots of slot plays, you might imagine, but also vlogs, live stream, does contests, giveaways. Several times a week, hosts The Lounge, where you can just go in, hang out with other Vegas enthusiasts, talk about Vegas, talk about life, request songs. It's a great deal of fun, particularly if you're kind of bored, not sure what to do with yourself. It's a fun way you can easily while away hours in that lounge. So without any further ado, I'm going to send it over to PJ. I want to thank him for his contribution. Hope you enjoy it. Remember, not everybody makes the same cocktails the same way. There's usually a dozen recipes, so if you make yours a little differently than he does, that's great. Just keep doing it. This is just a way to kind of tease you, perhaps introduce you to some new drinks you might not have thought of. So take it away, Paul.
Thanks, John, for that fabulous intro. Hello everyone, and welcome to what I hope will be a nice long series of cocktails. Let's get started with today's cocktail of the week. Purple Rain. We'll be right back. Hello everybody, and welcome to Cocktail of the Week with your host, PJ. Now, let's watch PJ put together another fabulous cocktail. Well, hello everybody, and welcome back. I'll be making a Purple Rain cocktail. This cocktail and many future cocktails can be made using various choices of alcohol and mixers. I'm showing you how I like my Purple Rain. We'll be right back in just a moment, and we'll start adding all the contents. Thanks for watching, ladies and gentlemen. Vegas Tips and Tricks, Cocktail of the Week. Alrighty, welcome back. Let's get started, shall we? Once again, this is the Purple Rain cocktail. First thing we're going to do, 2 ounces of vodka. I already have my shaker with ice. Next, 1 ounce pineapple juice. You might notice where these different shot glasses are all from Las Vegas hotels. Next, a little grape juice, 1 ounce. 1 ounce blue curacao. Nothing's bubbling, that's good. And last but not least, 1 ounce of orange flavored liqueur. Oh shit, I forgot my lime. I'll be right back. Alrighty, and as I was saying, half lime juice. We're just going to squeeze that puppy in there good. Alright, we'll just put that there for now. Put the top on and commence the shaking. Got a good, I don't know, 15-20 seconds. Oh, that puppy's cold. Alrighty, let's see what we got. Hopefully a purple cocktail. That is looking pretty purple. Might have made a little extra. Let's garnish that with a lime. Ladies and gentlemen, there you go with the perfect Purple Rain cocktail. Cheers, everybody. Enjoy. That's pretty good. Thanks for watching. Now back to John with more Vegas tips and tricks.
Well, that was fun. A Purple Rain. It's like a Prince-influenced sort of drink, maybe. It sounds good. Might have to check that one out. Perhaps he'll email me a Purple Rain and I can enjoy that. You know, when you're in Las Vegas, speaking of cocktails, you might want to concoct some of your own. And that leads to this week's Vegas tip or trick. You know, you don't always want to hang out at the bar in Las Vegas paying those exorbitant prices for drinks. Sometimes you just want to host a little party in your room, even if it's just a party for 1 or 2. And if you're going to do that, you're going to need to get some alcohol, some mixers, some snacks, some fun things like that. And where are you going to go? You're going to go to the casino gift shop? Well, they've got some, but they're kind of pricey. You're going to rent a car and go off-site and hit up a grocery store, liquor stores all over Las Vegas? You're probably not, because you don't have that kind of time. But thankfully, the nice people from Walgreens and CVS have stores all the way up and down the strip. You can't swing a dead cat without hitting one. Most anywhere you stay, you're only going to be a block or two away, and sometimes you have one practically attached to your property, like Treasure Island, Venetian, Planet Hollywood in particular. And you can go in there, you can get a reasonable price. Now, you can do better at home, probably, unless you're in Canada. You can do better off the strip, but price is significantly better than what you're going to find in the gift shops. In addition, you can pick up some personal care items if you've forgotten something or run out. Grab a snack, grab some fruit or a sandwich for a light meal. Save yourself a few bucks. If you want to stay hydrated, grab yourself a case of water. Hey, if something comes up, you could even get a prescription filled here. So CVS and Walgreens are not sponsoring this, but a great resource when you're staying on the strip. There's actually one downtown as well on Fremont, but oddly enough, they don't sell alcohol. So you'll have to check out the ABC store if you're downtown and you want to pick up some alcohol. But definitely, if you've been to Las Vegas several times, you probably already know that. But if you haven't been in a while, or you're going for the first time, those drugstores, some of the most profitable in their entire chain, are going to be the way you want to go. Great Vegas tip, courtesy of me today. If you've got a Vegas tip that you want to share, please let me know in the comments below, or email me, jrswift@vegastipstricks.com. And if we feature it on a future show, you'll be entered to win a fabulous prize. I think we have 6 or 7 people entered. So if we get up to 10, we'll actually give away the prize. We'll spin the virtual wheel of prizes coming up. Now, we've got a big news story from Las Vegas. This week's big Las Vegas news story may have kind of slipped under the radar for some of you, and for others you may say, so what? How does that affect me? But this week, Jim Murren, who's been the CEO at MGM Resorts for over a decade now, announced that he's going to be stepping down as soon as they can find a successor. Who knows the exact particulars? He talked about coronavirus and not meeting certain financial goals for 2020, but it may simply be a case of sort of exhaustion on both sides. After a time, any sort of leadership begins to get stale, and people get tired of you and you get tired of them, and it's probably just time to move on. It was quite a career that Murren had, and for good or ill. So I thought I would share a few highlights from Jim Murren's career and let you know just what a big factor he has been in, particularly on the Las Vegas Strip, over the past couple of decades. On the good side, Murren took over MGM when I think it was still MGM Mirage back in 2008, right as the economy was tanking rather badly. And it had been a period of growth on the Las Vegas Strip, and you had several projects in progress, including Echelon over on the old Stardust site, the Fontainebleau, and most dramatically, City Center. And as a result of those financial downturns, Echelon became a skeleton, became a sort of sad sight on the Las Vegas Strip for the better part of a decade. Fontainebleau is still not complete. They're talking about 2022 now, but about every 6 months it gets moved up a year. So who knows? Resorts World is at least coming along. We certainly hope that those properties are going to one day come to pass. But it was under Murren's leadership that somehow, some way, involved investors from Dubai, MGM was able to save what became the largest private project ever completed, and that was City Center. If you can imagine Las Vegas Boulevard with an incomplete city center for several years, Even if it had resulted in MGM's bankruptcy and selling off of the property and something eventually happening there, it still would not be the Vegas we have today. And I think the fact that City Center was able to be completed had a great deal to do with the fact that Cosmopolitan ultimately got completed around the same time. That was also a project which was very shaky during those rough financial years. So if you're a big fan of City Center, Aria, Vidara, the Crystals Mall, any of those places, or even Cosmopolitan, or just even the impact that that project has had on that part of the Strip, which was kind of a dead zone for a lot of years, you have Jim Murren to thank, at least in part. Murren also, prior to becoming CEO, was instrumental in a number of mergers, the biggest of which was bringing MGM together with the Mandalay Bay properties, Mandalay Bay, Luxor, Excalibur, and Circus Circus. When those mergers came to pass, it made MGM Mirage at the time the largest casino company in the world. It's kind of a big deal. And it kind of kicked off, I guess you'd say, this consolidation we've seen on the Strip, because in the years to come, Caesars would also acquire a number of additional properties, and you would have this sort of rivalry between two mega casino corporations on the Strip, which we still see to this day. Now, you know, you can say that wasn't entirely a good thing. There's some advantages to it, obviously, but it was obviously huge in terms of creating the Las Vegas Strip that we see today. Murren was also absolutely key in bringing not only an arena to Las Vegas, but professional sports, major league professional sports to Las Vegas. There had been proposals for years and years to build a major arena somewhere and to bring a major league sports franchise to Las Vegas, but it was MGM under Murren's leadership that actually got it done, building the T-Mobile Arena, and then later on creating the Park Entertainment District, the Park Theater, certainly one of the hot spots of Las Vegas entertainment to this day. And it was building that arena that ultimately was able to bring the Golden Knights to town, and had a, certainly at least an indirect effect on bringing the Las Vegas Raiders to town. So, if you're a fan of professional major league sports in Las Vegas, a fan of the park and the Park Theater, you have Murren to thank for that, because it all took place under his leadership. That being said, for many visitors, Murren's departure will not cause them to shed any tears. Now we're going to talk about why. Back in 2008, MGM became the first Strip properties to charge a resort fee. Yes, the beloved resort fee. Nothing brings out a greater show of emotions on any Facebook post or anywhere than resort fees. Now, prior to that, Station Casinos and Boyd Casinos, a couple of more or less local casino chains, had charged a resort fee. But it was Murren and MGM that brought it to the Las Vegas Strip. Now, to be fair, pretty much every other casino, despite initial protestations, would follow suit. But those casino resort fees, which started out $15, $20, $25, are now more like $40 or $50, sometimes even surpassing the cost of the rooms. At the very least, it seems somewhat misleading. It has certainly frustrated many people, really caused issues for some people on a budget that weren't expecting to be hit with those fees. And, Murren was one who brought it to the Las Vegas Strip. And about a decade later, Murren was the one who brought parking fees to the Las Vegas Strip. Now, we've seen some retrenchment on that. We haven't seen a lot of price increases. The Wynn actually ended its parking fees, but certainly Caesars was happy to jump on board. You can at least give Murren and MGM some credit for being able to stand up and say, we're going to do this. We know it's unpopular, instead of just like waiting until someone else does it and then jumping in and joining in. But clearly not popular with Vegas visitors. You know, I mean, it's frustrating. You know, you have a room, it's supposed to be comped or 40, 50 bucks a night, and then you end up getting charged another 50, 60, $70 for the resort fee and for parking. You know, it's irritating. I'm irritated by it, and I understand it, and, you know, I've done a show on resort fees and why we shouldn't get so worked up about them. But if you get worked up about them, then Jim Murren's not going to be your favorite person. If you get worked up about parking fees, Jim Murren is not going to be your favorite person. In recent years, there's been some serious public relations snafus as well. If you remember, in the aftermath of the tragic shooting at Mandalay Bay, someone at MGM Resorts decided that they would file a lawsuit against the victims, and legally, it was kind of a maneuver, but I mean, you talk about bad PR when you've got a company basically suing the victims of a tragedy that took place near its properties. That's, you know, pretty bad. So, Jim Murren, a mixed bag, but a huge part of the way the Las Vegas Strip looks today. So if you hadn't heard of him before, you have now. And I wouldn't get excited about the fact that he's leaving. I doubt very much that it's going to lead to massive retrenchments in fees at Las Vegas hotels. You never know, but certainly most of the people in high leadership positions that have been working with him for years have probably been on board with those changes. So, but definitely something different happening at MGM. And speaking of MGM, it's time for our Casino Resort of the Week. In terms of talking about names that have been influential in the history of Las Vegas and the Las Vegas Strip, one you may not hear so often is Kirk Kerkorian. But Kirk Kerkorian, who passed away, I think about 15 years ago, was instrumental in creating the Las Vegas Strip that we see today. Kirk had an obsession, apparently, with building the largest hotel in Las Vegas and the world. He originally built the International, which for many, many years was known as the Las Vegas Hilton, and today it's the Westgate. He had that property for a few years, ended up selling it off. He was a wheeler and dealer, and usually made money off his wheelings and dealings. But a few years after selling it off, he decided he was going to build what he called the MGM Grand. That opened in the 70s, and it was the largest hotel in the world for a while. It is now Bally's. Sadly, most people remember its time as the MGM Grand for the tragedy that took place there, the fire that killed a number of people, and just seemed to mark the nadir of Las Vegas, period. A period of doldrums on the Strip and just not a successful time. But again, in a few years, he would sell off that MGM Grand. There was also one that was built in Reno. They would be sold off to Bally's, and it's still known as Bally's. The one in Reno was for years the Reno Hilton, now the Grand Sierra Resort, owned by the same people that own the Sahara now in Las Vegas. So you can see how all of these ownership things come together. But Kerkorian had one last ace up his sleeve, and that was the current MGM Grand. By some ways of accounting, still the largest hotel in the world. It certainly was when it opened. And it is a massive complex. For my personal taste, it's a bit too massive. But it's hard to imagine a wider variety of accommodations being available than you have at MGM Grand. In addition to the main hotel tower of some 4,000 odd rooms, you have the adjacent West Wing, a much maligned part of the hotel. It is the shell of the old Marina Hotel, which was actually there when Kerkorian took over and built MGM Grand. They didn't knock it down. They refurbished it. They've redone it a few times. It is now the West Wing. And the rooms are smallish and cramped and have small windows. They are typically cheap, at least. But most of the rooms at the MGM Grand that are most notable are not cheap at all. If you want to enjoy the best of Las Vegas, you might consider picking up a couple of nights at the Sky Lofts. located on the top 2 floors of the main tower. If you can find one of these rooms for under $1,000 a night, hey, it might be worth grabbing it. There's some YouTube videos out there. They're amazing. I think there's like 50 of them. Typically, you know, these are sort of high roller rooms. But if you're a really big high roller, they might put you up in the mansions out back. And they really are little mini mansions, complete with butlers, complete with people to serve your every need. Probably the most fabulous accommodations in Las Vegas. So if any of you are such big-time players that you've stayed at the mansions before, please hit me up in the comments below, because I would like to take out a loan, interest-free, that I don't have to pay back. In addition, attached by a large sort of tube with a moving walkway is a series of towers called MGM Signature, originally built more sort of a timeshare residential property, but it's mostly rooms that are just rented out by the night anymore. One of the better values on near the Las Vegas Strip, particularly for those of you who may not want to be immersed in a casino all the time. Really good value. The rooms are decked out with all of your basic needs, and including a little kitchenette and everything like that. They actually have balconies, so you can kind of go outside and check out the view. Several hundred rooms there. You start adding all these rooms together, and it's somewhere around 6,500 rooms. Not surprisingly, the MGM Grand registration area can be a zoo. You can easily walk in there and find yourself in a line of 100 people. Now, to be fair, I think they do a pretty good job of moving people through those lines. They usually have a lot of desk clerks there, but it can be a very daunting experience when you walk into the MGM Grand to check in. A little tip, if you don't mind spending a couple extra dollars for a little bit of a gimmick, MGM Grand also has what they call stay-well rooms. They have these at some of their other properties as well. And it's kind of gimmicky. They have like white noise and aromatherapy and, special bedding. It's supposed to, I don't know, detox you or make you feel healthy. But if you book one of those rooms, you can check in a separate stay-well lounge kind of place, which allows you to bypass that main area. I've never been a fan of the MGM Grand. The rooms there are fine by all accounts, remodeled a few years ago. And I have always said if you had to be stuck on a single property, it wouldn't be a bad one to be stuck on, because it's so big and there's so much to do. It's just a little too big for me. The casino is one of the largest in the world. You could probably fit every downtown casino inside the MGM Grand. You've got bars and restaurants galore. MGM Grand was one of the first properties to really prominently feature celebrity chefs. You have, I think, Wolfgang Puck's original Las Vegas restaurant is still there and going strong. Emeril Lagasse's place is still there and going strong after over 20 years at this point. And you have a lot of other celebrity chefs, Michael Mina. Most notably, I would say, Joel Robuchon, whose sort of signature restaurant is arguably the best in Las Vegas. If you've got the money, definitely check it out, but you better have some deep pockets. But that being said, there's a wide variety of restaurants for most any budget. Lately, the buffet has been getting abysmal marks, so keep that in mind. But you don't have to hit up the buffet. And of course, you're in a relatively good area. You have a lot of other MGM properties located in the area: New York, Park MGM, Excalibur. And pretty good access to the monorail if you want to ride up to the center or north end of the Strip. In fact, the monorail that currently exists was built around the shell of a monorail that was built years before that linked just Bally's to MGM Grand. The old MGM, the new MGM. So there you go. Of course, you've got all the major games that you could possibly want in the casino. Lots of other entertainment options as well. You have a Cirque show, Caw, which gets mixed reviews, but hey, it's a Cirque show. You've got David Copperfield, who's been appearing here for years and years and years. You got the Brad Garrett Comedy Club. You have Jabberwockies, I think they're called, if you're looking for a little bit of an offbeat entertainment. And you've got one of the nicer pools in Las Vegas, which hosts on occasion the Wet Republic, one of the most raucous pool parties in Las Vegas. You have the Hakkasan nightclub. Attached to the back of the property, you have Topgolf, which is a popular attraction these days and a fun way to spend an afternoon or an evening in Las Vegas. They still have the CSI experience going. I'm surprised that's still going after over a decade. So if you're still a big fan of that show and you'd like to pretend to be your own crime scene investigator, you can still do that at the MGM. Of course, you have the MGM Arena, which has hosted a number of famous events, boxing matches over the years, kind of overshadowed these days by T-Mobile, but they still do some major concerts and events there as well. So again, MGM Grand's pretty much got it all, and as a result of having it all, it's big. It's easy to get lost in. It's a little impersonal, but overall, if you've never checked it out or if you've got a chance to stay there, certainly one of the better properties in Las Vegas, and certainly one that has a lot to offer you. Hey, if you've hung in there for this whole show, give yourself a pat on the back and hit that like button. Hope you enjoyed our program today. I think we had a lot of good information, including once again want to thank PJ for his cocktail of the week and encourage you to like, comment, and subscribe. Wednesday we'll have a room video for you, and of course we'll be back next Saturday with another show. Until then, I hope that you have a great and lucky week. We will. See you soon.